All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What Drives You. I am one of your co-hosts, Stan Windhorn, and with me, as always, is my good buddy and co-host, the ever dapper, always charming Carl Bauer. Carl, looking good today, buddy. Say hi to everybody.
How are you? Everybody, thank you for joining us. I am trying to adjust my camera a little bit, and Stan always makes fun of me, you guys, because I'm unprofessional and he's the pro. So sorry, everybody. But we've got some dear friends and a big event coming up. So welcome Gary and Veronica from Women in Automotive.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Awesome.
Women in automotive. There is a interesting subject to talk about. In fact, we've had some women in automotive, some strong women who have made their way in this semi-dominated male industry. So you've got an event coming up here in my town of Austin, Texas, coming up. But before we get into the event, can we backtrack just a little bit? I'd love to hear a little bit about what was the inspiration behind starting Women in Automotive. Tell everybody what it is.
Well, thanks, Stan. Actually, Women in Automotive is 12 years old. It was originally founded by a few ladies that are pretty prominent in the industry. I was a founding member. They called it a charter member. I was not one of the founders of the event.
Okay.
But I have been to all but one of every event that we've had since its inception in 2014. Um, and about 4.5 years ago, when Jody DeVere and Christy Roman wanted to retire from the event space, um, I bought it, plain and simple, and
All right.
wanted to preserve the vision, change the culture just a bit. And we have just grown the narrative and grown the conference space and really changed what we were about in the sense of we're not just a conference company any longer. We actually have a nonprofit arm. We do one annual conference every year instead of two. We have regional events, which we call our WIA socials. We have 1 to 3 a month, every month of the year, with except for in June, leading up to our event, or whatever month prior to the national event. Last year it was our event was in August, so we didn't have one in July. Um, Spoiler alert, next year's will be in July again, so we will not have any in June again. So we've actually done quite a bit. We stand on 4 pillars. It is community, national conference, regional events, and mentorship. My pastor
Neat.
always says you're only as strong as the community you belong to. So we have tried really hard to build a community of strong, like-minded women and men. That was another big change because we really push for male participation. Without the men, we'll never change the narrative of it being a predominantly male-driven industry.
Yeah, well, that answers one of my questions that I was going to have for you, if men can attend. But is the overall goal here is to bring the women in? We've had, like I said, we've had people on the show before, a lot of people from the automotive space, including some really great, strong women, and everybody pretty much agrees that it is pretty much a male-dominated industry as a whole. But is that the purpose, is to bring the women who have decided to make their living in this industry and bring them together to network and support each other? Is that the general vibe?
It's part of it. And I'll let Gary answer as well. I know I'm kind of dominating the conversation and I apologize. But, I always say it's not a lack of women in our industry, it's a lack of women that stay.
Mm,
So our one of our goals is one to mentor the women in our industry and give back into them so that they can find that there are others like them and that there is a strong support network out there to help them thrive and get what they need to survive in a male dominated industry, because it's not for the faint of heart. That's for darn sure.
The
I've
industry itself isn't for the faint of heart.
no, it is not. But I
You
mean,
know, it's a great industry, but it's not for everybody. It takes a strong individual to make their living in the car business. So that's why I'm always extra impressed when women succeed at a high level, and there are plenty of them now that do.
yes, and it's hard for women to get where they are in upper level without being jaded. So if we create a cohesive environment to where women can find other women and men that support them, then it makes it a lot easier to not get that upper layer hardened, to where they're more willing to share their experience, share their expertise, and pour into those lifting them up from the bottom. Because, there's several women's organizations out there, and we align with almost all of them that we find, we try to align with, but we're the only one that's not a niche. So we are entry level to executive. We align with AWAF, with WAN, with WOCAN, with AWIA. I mean, all of them. We want to make sure that everyone knows they don't have to make a choice who they can align with, that they have someone in their corner no matter what they're looking to find. And if we can't get it to them, we find them someone that can.
And to go back to your question, and you said a very critical word there, bringing women into the industry. So within both the nonprofit and profit side or event side of the house, there's a focus on the bringing in, recruiting. Matter of fact, there's a job board. There is focus on scholarships. Mentorship is a big part of that. So there's the bring in and the cultivating. The industry is underrepresented. Matter of fact, if you look at the data going back nearly a decade now, on college campuses, one of the larger, not just trade school, college campuses, one of the largest group of hand raisers for techs are female. And yes, we do have an industry-wide shortage. To circle back to that question again about bringing, as Veronica hit on, rather than serve a specific niche, women in automotive, especially because of its background and history, and yes, the pivot 4 years ago with the ownership change, we're really concentrating on communities. So our goal long term and one of the pillars is to have that represent every aspect of the industry. So that's bringing in and preparing, mentoring up, giving hands up, both the job board, changing mentorship as women reach those C-suites or hopefully up to the C-suites. We all know in the industry we are underrepresented, pure executive wise. There's one female CEO, at least in the auto manufacturing side. There are a few more when it comes to supplier, part side, et cetera, but there are very few who've made it up to the upper echelon. So we want to allow WIA to get better all the time in all aspects of the industry. So it is bringing in, it is cultivating, it is mentoring, but it's also advancing. It is also bringing awareness. If you look at some of the videos and interviews Veronica's done in the past couple of years at NADA and even away from NADA, but a lot of those prominent interviews happen there. These panels that have women and men on it focus typically on the same question. How are we going to do this? WIA as an organization is bringing most of those to the forefront.
But Stan, one interesting thing that I was, when I would been talking about them about some other things is the fact that they have this dual, let's say, for-profit arm and this non-profit, which is very interesting because the events, right? They got to pay for the events, they got to have sponsorship and all that. But if somebody really wants to go, and a business can't afford, doesn't want to afford, doesn't want to, build up their employee, there's this opportunity over here for others who are giving back, who've reached that C level, who can fill this bucket of money to scholarship people. It's kind of like I'm on a summer camp board. We have a lot of kids who cannot, they're single parent family, whatever, they can't afford to go to camp. they want to go to camp. We want them at camp. So we have the scholarship fund that they don't have to sweat it. The mom and dad, or mom or dad, whoever the parent is, doesn't have to sweat it. And I thought that was a really brilliant thing for y'all to do with the nonprofit and the profit. So good job.
Well, and that's just one piece of it. We also have partnerships with two of the most prominent automotive colleges in our industry. So with Kaiser University, they give us one scholarship a year for their automotive schooling. And also any member of our organization, that member or their family members get automatic 25% tuition assistance to Kaiser University.
Hmm.
On the flip side, Northwood gives us four $20,000 scholarships to their university per year.
Wow.
All they have to
That's
do is
great.
come through our portal and apply, and they are selected every year. That's four scholarships a year that between us and Northwood are given away. So we have
Yeah.
5 university scholarships a year and tuition assistance from Kaiser. So if people don't know, Kaiser came out of Northwood. So
Hmm.
it's the largest automotive university outside of learning through NADA or NCM, but actual recognized degree programming.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
Got it.
fantastic. And that they're partnered with us because they believe in us. And they also send their students to get credit to come help and volunteer at our events every year. So it's a win-win for all of us. And then we're looking with other universities. I believe North Carolina University is in talks with us at this moment. We've got dealerships that are looking for intern programs, and we have a scholarship fund starting not just for bringing people to our event, but also additional scholarships. And the biggest barrier of entry for technicians, as you probably know, is the cost of tools.
Yeah.
So we're looking to be able to fill that fund to be able to help tuition assistance, tool assistance, um, new business startups for the tech side and for other businesses or other schools like finance schools, things of that nature for women and men. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. Have you heard of Wyotech?
Wyotech? No.
Wyoming.
They're one of the big schools for
Yes.
training mechanics and paint, people who paint cars and do body work and all that. I have some connections there. Maybe I can introduce you to some
We would
people and
love that. I saw an
yeah,
article the year that we had our 10-year anniversary and our event was in Colorado Springs. And there was an article the year that we did that, year before last, that they had just done a big thing where they put a couple of ladies through school. I saw that.
yeah.
And we sent an email and we just didn't know who to reach out to. So we've not heard back, but it is on our radar to try and
We
get.
can talk about that. In fact, my good friend Richard Wood he's sort of a guy who goes and instructs the instructors, and he's got a scholarship in his name. So maybe
Nothing
there's a
like being
connection there.
on the spot in a
Yeah.
podcast. I love it.
Yeah, look at you never know how networking works like that. But I want to get back to the event itself.
Yes.
So you're coming to my town, Austin, Texas. I'm not going to get to be here. I would have loved to have popped in and said hello to everybody. I think Carl is coming in town for the event,
That,
though. But
that's the
just let's
plan.
talk about the event. Tell us about what's going to happen. Who's going to be there? What's going to happen? What do people expect when they come to your event?
So our event this year is actually one of the best we've ever put together. We do have an event inside of an event as well. We started it last year. It's called our C-Suite Executive Summit. That is invite only for dealerships, dealer owners, C-Suite executives appointed by the dealer owner in their place, or OEMs. Last year it was a one-day event, and it was such a hit that they asked us to extend it. So this year it's going to be a day and a half preceding the event, so the 16th and 17th, leading right into our phenomenal event. Our welcome reception is on the 17th. It is a Friday night. And then we have a packed, amazing lineup of speakers. Um, This year, we are launching a pajama party. Please don't bring your own pajamas because we will be supplying those because we have a fantastic nonprofit donating those pajamas to us. It is Wings and Warriors and Wings, Wings and Warriors. Let me get that straight. We'll look it up in a moment. A former industry gentleman that many people know, Rusty West from Market Scan. He donates to us every year for our conference. This year he's donating the pajamas. And then on Sunday, we are doing our first ever black tie gala and giving away 10 nominated by the industry awards. So we've already had people reaching out, asking if they can start nominating for next year after the nominations closed, because we expect these nominations and these awards to be long running and sought after awards. We have a legacy leader. We all lost a very good influence in our industry last year, Bobby Heron. She was one of our board members, one of my best friends. Heck, she was a bridesmaid in our wedding. And she was one of the founding members of Women in Automotive as well. She passed away just a few short weeks before our last conference. So we have an award in her honor this year called the Be Like Bee Award. She's truly an amazing woman. And I think we got the most nominations for that award. That one will live on in legacy.
Nice.
We have a dealer ally. We have a allied partner award. Hidden gem.
A lot of awards.
We have a lot of awards. Hidden gem would be someone that doesn't normally get the recognition. We have rising star, someone less than 5 years in the industry. We just have some amazing awards that we will be giving away every year from this moment forward. And they have to be nominated. And they have to be given a really good reason why they deserve this award. And it was overwhelming. We received hundreds of nominations. So
What I like about that, Veronica, too, is, and Gary and I have, been on the vendor side for many years. I love that this, at least my perception is, you guys don't care if they're a vendor, if they're an OEM, if they're a dealer partner, if like a lot of these events, Stan, and you've seen this, it's like vendors over here, you guys are just selling us crap, and then we're the dealers over here, and we're the decision makers. There's this weird chasm in between the two, and this kind of puts them all together, and that's cool.
There's a few things that we really tried to line, including in the time since the acquisition or the ownership change in the last 4 years. We have gone from as Veronica called out, a 2 time a year bi-coastal event, Orlando, Palm Springs, to a single voted on event area. So we will not be back in Austin next year. Sorry, Stan, you'll have to travel to join us next year.
maybe eventually, but not
Right.
next year.
Right. Voting's in, it'll be announced at the conference. So, one, we move from a booth or selling heavy event where vendors wondered when they got their booths if it would be something where they were selling, to a much more experiential, or not much more, an experiential event. So, being as how women sell, buy differently, think about purchasing differently. A lot of the women in the org, yes, there are quite as many, not quite as many, but many men on our board, including some long-standing folks that have been in in that seat, or in those seats. The mentality behind why we run this event has morphed. At the event, it's not about booths. It's about experiences that the women and the men in attendance, there should be about 70, 75, maybe 80.
Oh, we'll have more than that this year.
Maybe 100 men like me, in a couple weeks here. But instead of doing the booths, and yes, Kaiser and Northwood do get their tables and they're set up to talk with folks. But from a vendor perspective, it's not like you're calling out, Carl. There's this radicalized or very compartmentalized selling, not selling, shopping, not shopping, here to attend, here to speak. It's a collaboration. This is about connecting peer to peer, whether it's the C-suite event or the main conference. This is about making a difference in the industry. How do we move the women in the industry, not just bring them in, but move them around the industry, give them an opportunity to grow, to be mentored, to get the position they're looking for? That comes through collaboration. It's peer to peer. It's, yes, sometimes because of a speaker influencer to peer, but generally speaking, these movements happen because they had a chance to do something different than at that typical conference vibe. And this is something that we've spent a lot of time and effort cultivating. It took a lot of effort to move away from that expo type because every vendor's asking, okay, where do I set up? What day do
Mm,
I have to be there? What size booth do I get? Meet more people, talk with them. Yes, we do have by the way, we do have a virtual vendor book for the sponsors. So we have a flip book that allows them to have their marketing there and their discount or their free setup offer or whatever it is. It is lead generating, but the event is meant to empower women. And that doesn't come from getting pitched at a booth. It just
right,
doesn't, even if
right.
it's got all the right components and the right assistance. So we've made a lot of morphs in that approach to your question, Carl, and to your point, and we will continue to cultivate that, whether it's us and our team, Robin, Kathy, Shasta, Catherine, who helps run our mentorship platform, all of these leaders within there, plus advisors. We've got folks like David Spisak, Alex Vetter, uh, people have been around us for years, including the male side, Joe Webb, um, steering the ship in order to make the event something that is really impactful and lasting.
Just a quick thing. The one thing I always tell people is we don't want to be like every other conference. People hate going to conferences other than the after parties. So we're trying to make our conference the the most unconference conference so that people, one, they're still talking about last year's Nashville conference. Everyone wants to come. And quite honestly, women do business differently than men. And it's not the training that most companies force their men to go through on, oh, here's how you sell to women. Don't tell them about the vanity mirror, because you tell another woman about a vanity mirror, they're going to probably, make you choke on it.
Punch you.
But it's more about the fact that, you know, women want to know how, and a lot of men nowadays, they've shifted their focus. It's not ROI, ROI, ROI from this one day. It's what is my long-term game? What is the plan? So, and I always use the analogy because I've been on both sides of the game here. I've been on the desk, I've been a vendor, and now I run the events. So, if you ask a female for a paint job, let's just use that analogy. They're going to tell you, well, let me think about it for a moment because I want to make sure you're going to get the best service, that they're going to treat my customers right, and you're going to get the best value, not the cheapest price. That's never in the equation, or rarely. You ask a man the same question, they're going to say, oh, wait, here, call this guy. He left his card. He's going to give me a kickback, or he's going to give you the best price. Customer service is never the first response.
Mm.
Yeah.
How did they treat my customer? That's never the first response. How does it reflect on me is never the first response. Oftentimes it's, oh, he'll probably do a good job. I'm not sure. That's on you, basically.
Mm.
And you know I'm right, because I say that to every man I know when I give this analogy, and not one has argued with me.
Yeah, that's true.
But a woman will always worry about how's it going to reflect on me and my reputation, even if it costs me a little more, because costing me that little more is going to get me more business. I don't ever want to be known as a salesperson. But in the company that I worked for 15 years before taking on this full time, my team, account management, not sales, outsold our sales team for 4 years in a row and carried the company.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, that's critical. You know, like the and Stan and I have had a bunch of people on that hospitality, right? Retailers, anybody who's in, I think our industry, and you guys are kind of headed in that direction. I feel like with the experiential, event, the support of the women, the mentorship and all that. I think until our industry says we're going to change this bell to bell, 9 to 9. Like, we're going to have trouble not only getting women, but quality people in this. That's why half of us have gone to the vendor side. We're like, listen, I made way more money on the other side, but I had no life. So I love that you're kind of focusing on that support, that community aspect that you both have said multiple times. That community supports someone. And until that changes or at least gets ingrained, or women stick around long enough to show that it is possible to work less hours and still produce, it's going to be tough. So I love that you guys are out there trying to do that and promote that and encourage it.
Well, and the thing is, the more quality connections you make, you may not sell to somebody at our conference, but you're going to make, for example, 10 people connections that if you make the right connection, when somebody asks for what your service is, they're not going to say, oh, here, let me provide that, or whatever, let me find out. They're going to think of you and they're going to send somebody your way. Your ROI just moved up exponentially because when I was in the software business, everyone thought of me when they thought of, oh, who needs a new DMS? They didn't think of all those guys with the crappy reputation, not people. I'm talking about the companies. They
Yeah.
thought of who to call because even if I wasn't the right fit as a provider, I would steer them in the right direction, even if it wasn't my own company, because they knew they'd get the right answer, the right advice, because I had
Yeah.
made that
It's sort of like,
everything.
yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like you guys are this connection and referral engine, or trying to be, where it's not like the sale comes later. Let's start on with the relationship and the trust factor. And Stan preaches this. I don't know if you guys do this, but Stan was a head of training for TrueCar for many years. And his core thing that I literally wake up in the middle of the night dreaming, hearing in my ear is the transfer of trust. And when you transfer that trust around in our industry, and Gary, I'm sure you still get it too, and I've actually called you, is, hey, I'm looking for a new DMS. Gary, who do you think's the best? And you say, well, if you want this type of DMS or like, you run through it and I trust your opinion. Veronica, if I knew all this stuff that you know about or worked with, I'd call it, I just have that circle
He's
of
asking
influence.
me.
Yeah, he probably was. When we get to the words of wisdom, we'll know for sure, right at the end of this episode. But yeah, it's just the transfer of trust and the community and that networking. I'm just a connector at heart, and that's what I do. And that's why we love this hobby that we have. I'm there using air quotes, everybody, which is this channel, which is what drives you. It is about what drives you, motivates you in life, and what gets you going. But it's also about reconnecting with old friends, making new friends like you, Veronica, and then saying, how do we all work together, and connections, and so many connections. Like, this conversation will lead to 3 other episodes, right? Because you guys are like, oh man, you should talk to Erica from Women of Color in Automotive. Like, that's just how this works. And that's why we're rolling up to, episode 125 here, because people and conversations that we've had lead to these other things. And that's what I hope your conference does for women in automotive, and the men who are there as well, because it is about relationships and community, not about just selling crap, in my opinion. So,
Absolutely.
Well, what else do we want people to know about the event coming up? Is there anything else that you want to?
They can still register, and it is the 17th to the 20th at the Renaissance Arboretum in July.
Okay, so Oh, the Renaissance Arboretum. I know that hotel. I know exactly where that is. So it's
Yeah, they're
black
actually
tie
coming
on
from May.
Sunday.
I'm sorry.
It's a black tie event on Sunday.
It is.
Carl, are you still going to be here then?
I will. Veronica told me about that the other day, and I was just, as soon as I thought about it, I thought about sweating in Texas in a black tie, but it'll be indoors and cooled, I'm sure. But then
They
I was
got
like,
it worked
dang it,
out.
now I got to pack a suit. So
Maybe
anyway,
I'll be back in time to swing by and say hello. I can't promise that, but
I think you should adjust your trip.
Stan likes being in a tux, it's apparent.
oh wait, it's tux. Yeah, I'm probably not
Oh,
going to
no,
be
you
able
don't have
to.
to wear a tux.
But come on, we know you can
Yeah.
step your game up.
It's
It's
going to be
women in
great,
automotive.
though.
Well, I would love to get just to see the event, and I would just really enjoy just walking through and seeing everything that's going on. It does sound like um, way different than, I've been to a lot of conferences and trade shows in the automobile industry, and most of them are sort of the same. They're a little different in scope and size and everything, but it's kind of like the way Carl described it. They're all kind of set up the same, so it'd be refreshing to see something so different.
We put a lot of effort in to change the conversation, change the fundamentals at the events and away from the events, by events plural, the national big event, the conference, and then the socials, which have really been gaining traction. Shas has been doing an amazing job with those. Once you start changing the conversation, the perspective changes. How can you tell when that happens? You still hear some of the same questions, whether it's attendee, whether it's vendor, whether it's typical exhibitor, whether it's OEM, whether it's parts provider, supplier. They enter with the same questions, but then they have this aha moment. And I'll give one, I won't name the name, but it's somebody who's owned a number of companies within the industry. It's a gentleman, and his company was a first-time sponsor last year in Nashville. He sponsored one of the um, things that the attendees have on them at the conference, and he had this epiphany, literally at the event, watching his logo going around and saying, next year I want to. I wish I'd listened more on our calls, like literally these kind of comments, even though he did the sponsorship. He had that aha moment when he was finally there through every prep call we had, through the way that we sold the thing, the sponsorship and what was included. And he had this light bulb moment months later in front of everybody, seeing everybody. And then he said, next year I want to go bigger and this is what I'm going to do with it. It's not until you experience this conference, the WIA big national or annual conference, that you get to experience one, how different it is, but what is the purpose? What is the intent? What are those outcomes? And I'd say even two, what does the networking and the peer-to-peer build up to? You heard Veronica say earlier, there's still buzz about last year's event. There's not a
Mm,
lot of conferences that you hear about 4 weeks later, let alone 10 months or 11 months or a year later. The impact is so important to us. The legacy that we want to ultimately leave with WIA is that we actually made a mark in the industry to move that. I, for one, came from a strong mom house, and I know what strong women change, and I know the drivers for a lot of them. We have a lot of strong women in WIA. We're looking for more, no matter what their involvement, no matter what their attendance is driven by. But the bottom line is we still have a lot to change in the industry, and we are only part of it. We want to be a big part of it. We're only a part of it.
sure.
yeah.
How
Well,
many other
something tells
industries?
me you've got a strong woman sitting right next to you, Gary.
Oh, yes,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
How many other industry events do people actually want to go to the point of when their employer says no, that they pay their own way?
Wow.
Or if they can't, they'll actually reach out and ask for help so they can get
Yeah.
there.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That says a lot. That says a lot. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world, and I'll see if I can get back in time to at least come by. I'd love to just meet you both face to face,
That would be great.
um, and come and see y'all. Carl, do you want to do the questions, or do you want me to do them?
Yeah, you go ahead and you can do the auto questions with Gary, and
All
then
right.
I'll do words of wisdom with Veronica. But before
Okay.
that, I'm bringing a coworker tentatively. I think I told you guys about this, and I'll air it publicly, not say her name, but she has been in automotive for many years, but always on an island. So I literally envision her walking into this room with hundreds of women and just bawling her head off, knowing that she's like not alone. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I think, what happens a lot to if you go into a dealership and you're walking around and like there's one lady salesperson. I mean, imagine how isolated a lot of those folks feel. That's why I love when you get to a store and there's two, three, four of them, at least, out front in the front end or even in service, because they can collaborate and they can commune and it's just better. So that's why I wish I could be like a fly on the wall when she walks in and sees these women.
Can I tell you something, Carl? We have
Sure.
two women this year that came to our 10-year anniversary in Colorado Springs for the first time. They came alone, scared to death, separately. They did not know each other. They're going to meet for the first time, by the way, this at this event. But they came alone on their own because someone told them they should come. They are speaking on our
Hmm.
stage this year.
Nice.
Wow.
All
That's
right.
awesome.
Love that. All right. Well, we're been talking automotive and women in automotive, but at each one of our episodes, we ask three questions. We're going to do them fairly quickly. We'll start with Gary. Gary, what was the first car you ever owned?
It was an 85 Toyota Corolla.
All right. All right. Veronica, your first car?
83 Dodge Colt with a split level transmission.
Okay.
Hmm.
Second question. This time we'll start with Veronica. What has been your favorite vehicle that you've ever owned?
My favorite that I've ever owned was probably my 300ZX twin turbo.
Ooh.
I've seen a pattern here with you, Veronica. You like those quick cars, don't you?
I do.
Uh, Gary, what was your favorite vehicle you've ever owned?
Golly gosh darn, it was a Mitsubishi 3000 GT SL manual.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well,
He
mine
did
was
like the fun
manual too,
ones.
by the way, both of them.
All right. Money's no object. Budget, you can have as high of a budget you need. Gary, what's your dream vehicle?
It's not up there in budget, although it's respectable. And mine is, if anybody is also specifically a James Bond, but a Daniel Craig James Bond fan,
Ah,
is the Aston Martin DB11. But
all right.
it's a lot of money, no object. There's a lot more expensive vehicles, but that's my gotta have it someday car.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an expensive vehicle. It just we want to remove that from people's choice. All right, Veronica, dream vehicle.
Well, that's been one of mine all along as well as a car, but since my neck injury and all that, it had to switch to a SUV. I actually want the new fully loaded Cadillac Ionic.
Yeah, nice.
IQ, not Ionic, IQ.
Yeah, no, I knew what you meant.
IQ.
Um, uh,
I
Riding
saw
in
one
style
today
and
going down the
comfort.
road that was gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. Comfortable and incredibly stylish.
Yeah.
Nice car.
She
All
likes
right,
it with a
Carl.
blue stitching.
Take
Yeah.
it away, Carl.
The stitching is cool. All right, well, we wrap these up, and you guys may or may not know this. For those of you who are new, thank you, and like us, subscribe us, share this episode with all the women in automotive, all the women everywhere. I hope there should be conferences like this for all industries. But we started this during COVID, and it started out as an auto. Let's talk autos and let's talk cars, but it really morphed into something more motivational. We try and encourage, educate, and entertain little bit. I think this is a little bit of all that on this episode, but we also try and wrap these with a little nugget like words of wisdom. So we kind of position it like this. Gary and Veronica, what would you tell 18-year-old Gary or 18-year-old Veronica? Ladies first, words of wisdom, Miss Veronica.
Stay out of automotive. No, I'm just kidding. I probably would have actually told myself more often. The same thing my dad always told me is I could do anything and not to be held back. Because I think I did hold myself back quite a bit. And had I not, I'd probably be further than I am today.
It's a good
Mine's
one.
not different. It's just go for it. If I'm talking with 18-year-old Gary, which nobody wants to be around right now.
Go for it. I like it. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm excited. I mean, I know this was kind of short notice and you guys have been traveling a lot, but we wanted to get an episode out so that we can help promote it. We'll chop a bunch of shorts up, put that on our social media, and hopefully we'll see it. It's crazy to me, and you guys may or may not see this. We'll share the links for the episode with your marketing team. But the shorts, and it's crazy because we had a great conversation for 30, 45 minutes, and then these 20 to 30 to 40-second things go viral, and it's crazy. But all stitched together, they still get the points that they need to get. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you could just share that with events at womeninautomotive.org, our team will run
Yeah.
with it instantly.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well,
Thank you
thank you
so
very much, both of you, for joining us on this edition of What Drives You. Good luck with the event coming up in just a couple of weeks. Carl, always good to see you, buddy.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, everyone, for joining us for this episode. And as we always like to say, remember, be good humans to each other. See you next time.